Today, NASDAQ melted right after we had a major news release, but it immediately recovered the move, bringing it back right to all-time highs. So in this video, I'm going to explain what news was released, why it was important, and why I knew NASDAQ was going to drop, then come back up after the news was released. And if you stick to the end, I'll cover my expectations tomorrow for both NASDAQ and gold. Now, I know it's easy for someone to claim that they knew something was going to happen after it's already happened, but I trade live every single day with the traders inside Day Trading University, and every single call that I've done in the last 4 years is recorded. So first, I'll show you the results of all of those traders from today's live call, and then I'll break down how we did it. So this is a screenshot from the Zoom call. You can see Alessandro right here said 14 green days straight after the summit. Now, most of you guys probably don't know this. The Currency Summit is an in-person event that we do, and 2 weeks ago, we just had it here in Miami, and that's what he's talking about. So we had 2 weeks straight, no losses. And I'll even take this one step further because I'm very, very much obsessed with proof. This is the actual Zoom file from the chat. And then if I bring over the chat and I search 14 green days, which is what he said, you can see the actual file shows at the exact same time, 8:42. You can see on the right, where is it? Right here. At the very top, you can even see the time that the screenshot was taken at 8:42, the exact same time that he had said it right here. And let me take you inside Day Trading University real quick. You can see some of the trades from today. This was at 9 o'clock in the morning, $20,000 payout from Top Tier right here. So that's a funded account. We scroll down. We have Wally. He doesn't say what he was trading, but you can see this is 2 accounts. I believe there's actually an update if I scroll down more, but that was about $300 in profit. This is me. I have 5 accounts that I'm trading with that are funded, and this actually isn't the final day, but you can just see the P&L. I even said down here, it hasn't updated today yet. So the trades I'm actually about to break down with you isn't in this, but this is my P&L statement. Here's Dylan. Here's another trade for him. I also believe we have another shot, but this is NASDAQ, the trade I'm going to break down as well. Go down a little more. This is Alessandro. This is the same person who made this comment right here, Alessandro, right? So not only can you see his comment, you can see the proof of it inside Day Trading University. Here's the update from Dylan. He ended up closing NAS at all-time highs. Once again, I'll break this trade down. Wally, here's the update. So we have, now it's up about $1,300 almost, and I believe he closed out there. Hopefully you believe, just by seeing some of this, that what I'm about to show you was actually done in real time. Now, with that being said, let's talk about the news that came out today. Let's go back into Day Trading University and let's take a look at the economic calendar. This is just a calendar daily that tells us what is it that's coming out that we should be paying attention to. If we look here on Thursday, we can see there's something called PPI coming out. So PPI data, this is the actual definition for it. We can see that it measures average changes in prices received by domestic producers. This measures the change in price for producers. So essentially, PPI data is actually just another measurement of inflation. And inflation data is one of the most focused pieces of data right now. And the reason being is that the Federal Reserve, which is just a bank that controls interest rates for the United States, has been trying to control inflation using interest rates. But something happened towards the end of March that the Federal Reserve really had no control over.
Trump's trade war triggers market mayhem not seen since the COVID outbreak.
Higher inflation from tariffs.
The economists and world leaders stumped by Trump.
He overstepped his authority in imposing tariffs.
That's right. Trump started a global trade war. The world operates on global trade, and in a nutshell, this is basically how it works. Every country has a different set of resources available to them. For some countries, it might be cheap labor. For other countries, it might be farming or grains or even commodities like precious metals or oil. In short, Trump is making it more expensive for businesses to import the goods from these other countries. Remember, PPI data, the news that was released today, literally measures whether costs are going up or down for businesses. It's called Producer Price Index. It measures the prices of producers. So we can think of this as kind of a forward-looking indicator for inflation. When businesses start to get increased costs, how do they stay in business? They're going to end up increasing the cost of their goods or their services, right? That increase in cost will eventually make its way down to the consumer. And we actually have another piece of data that measures that. It's called Consumer Price Index, also known as CPI. Is that starting to make sense? Like, are the pieces coming together? Because if this is still confusing, just let me know in the comments below, because I promise, like, this stuff, understanding this is the unlock to staying consistent and being profitable as a trader. I've experienced it myself, and I've done it with so many people. So with that being said, let's get into my analysis, the cheat sheets, and the actual trade. On this cheat sheet that I create for my live calls every day, basically, is my expectations for PPI data if it comes out above expected. Now, what that would be telling us, if we see that come out, is we have sticky inflation, right? Because remember, PPI data is inflation data, basically. So the reason I was expecting equities, which is like NASDAQ, US 30, SP 500, to drop and then push back up really has to come down to, there are 2 things. Number one, market fear. Number two, interest rates. When inflation shows to be sticky, the markets will stop expecting the Feds to cut interest rates. And at the beginning of this live call, I showed everybody that the markets were actually expecting either a 0.25% rate cut or a 0.5% rate cut. Until yesterday, we were actually expecting either a cut or a pause, but now we're expecting a 0.25% cut or a 0.5% cut. So knowing that the markets are expecting either a small rate cut or a bigger rate cut, this is why if we see PPI data, which is inflation data, if it comes out above expected, I think equities would drop. Because now what's going to happen? The markets might stop expecting those interest rate cuts and they might go back to expecting just a pause. This is where things can get a little tricky. If the markets are expecting interest rate cuts, but we remove that expectation from the markets, usually what happens is the same reaction as if we were raising interest rates, but it's short term. So what does that mean? Higher interest rates are bad for NASDAQ, but we're not raising rates. The markets might just expect rates to not be cut. So this is why I look for a short-term drop. But as long as we're still expecting that 0.25%, I'm still looking for NASDAQ to push back up. So I'm not telling you what happened. I'm just trying to show you this is my expectation on why if PPI data comes out higher, yes, maybe we can catch the drop. But I'm just going to be looking for the reversal to take it right back up because I'm not changing my overall bias. So here's my economic calendar, which gives me the data release in real time without any delays. So there's a few things to look at, but basically the easiest way is just look at this arrow and the lightning bolts. What this is telling us is that it was a surprise. This means it came out way above expected. So how do I know that? You can see here that it says the Reuters poll. If you're looking at Forex Factory, it would say forecast. It's the same thing. But the nice thing about having like a real news terminal or access to a real calendar is I get the minimum and the max. So the fact that we have this lightning bolt, it means that we came above the max on all of them, right? So you can break that down. Look, the actual right here, 0.9%, the max was 0.4. Look at this one, 3.7%, the max was 3. 0.9% was the actual, and 0.3 was the max. So you can see across the board, everything came out way above expected. So now that you know how the data came out, let's slowly break down the price action on NAS. I'll show you the trades I took, the trades I didn't take, and the trades that everyone else took. This is NASDAQ right before the data was released. And you already know the data came out higher. Look at what NASDAQ did. We had this massive drop to the downside. Now, I said it. I knew NAS was going to drop, but I still didn't take this. I didn't feel any fear of missing out or anything like that. We'll play it one more because it dropped a little more in the next candle. But I didn't feel any, fear of missing out for this because look at my cheat sheet. I was still expecting to see NASDAQ flip. I was expecting the drop to be short term, and I'm just looking for the flip up. So I actually ended up taking 2 entries on NASDAQ, which will play out, and then I locked myself out and I was done for the day. So you already know I'm looking for a reversal on NASDAQ. I didn't want to take these sells, although some traders did. I was just in gold. I wanted to wait for the reversal because this follows my bias. This was my first entry right here. I had entered impulsively on this candle as it flipped up. I think I had just gotten a break-even trade on gold because it was consolidating, and I wanted to take this right back up to all-time highs. Unfortunately, I think it went up 50 ticks or so, and I ended up taking it break-even. There's just so much volatility. I will go break-even on a riskier trade. So this was trade 1. I ended up getting break-even, so I will close that out. Another trade I ended up taking, which I do not recommend, it was a scalp. Here, I'll show the recording of it. It was this wick. And there, right when you look at this, it doesn't look good. But the volume that we were seeing when it was breaking, and also I have other charts that I look at, like this right here. This is a cheat code for me. This is the top 8 for NASDAQ. And I was seeing all of them spike up, which is why I took that volume. Tech stocks are still pushing up. I want to get back in on this. This is still going. I'm looking at tech stocks and it's still just taking off. All right. I don't like where my entry is, but okay. Doubled. I'll take it. My entry would have been better down here, which is where I was before, but 50 ticks. Once I noticed that I took this trade and I was like, man, I had this entry down here. It got break even. Why am I entering up here? I don't like chasing trades. So for me, I locked myself out. I had already made, I think, $2,000 or $3,000. So once I noticed that I started doing shit where I'm like, I'm going to keep my money, I'm done right now. We need to see when NAS reverses. There were still some trades to be taken, but we had to wait for the stock exchange to open. So I'll fast forward a little bit. We're at 9:15 here, 9:20. And then right before the stock exchange opened, we got this closure. This would have been an impulsive entry for me if this was the stock exchange open, because like I said, I'm still looking for the reversal. So this candle, number one, I'm not going to enter when it closes because the stock exchange just opened. Like, to me, that's crazy. So you have to give it a little bit. And if you were watching this, you know, when I go to the next candle, it's easy to see what happened. But watching this in real time, how fast this was pushing up and down, especially after we just had such an aggressive move to the downside, I don't want to be too impulsive on this and enter before the stock exchange opens. So this was the good entry here as it flipped, came back up, just waiting for it to open. And then if we play this out a little bit more, NASDAQ was perfect. Ended up coming right to all-time highs here. You know, and I already showed you some of the trades inside the win section with the traders in Day Trading University. You can see Dylan right here, closed his runner right at the highs. Got an extra $330 just with a runner, $800 on the day. So awesome work. And I hope you guys find these breakdowns helpful. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video.